Antwerp is the only place in the world where you can stand in a beautiful town square and realize the entire city's name is basically a tribute to a man throwing a giant's hand into a river. It sounds like a medieval fever dream, but that's the legend of the Grote Markt for you. Standing there, surrounded by those incredibly narrow, gold-topped guild houses, you really start to feel the weight of the 16th century. In the middle of it all is the Brabo Fountain, depicting that famous hand toss. And honestly, it's one of those moments where you realize this city has a very specific, slightly dark sense of humor that I absolutely love. Just a few steps away, the skyline is dominated by the Cathedral of Our Lady, and believe me, you literally cannot miss it. It took about 170 years to build, which makes my habit of procrastinating on chores feel a lot more reasonable. The North Tower is so tall it's actually protected by UNESCO, but the real treasure is inside. It's less of a church and more of a world-class art gallery because it houses some of the most famous altarpieces by Rubens. Seeing his work in the space it was actually designed for, rather than behind a glass case in a sterile museum, changes the whole vibe. It feels alive. But if you happen to be here in December, the entire area around the Grote Markt and Groenplaats transforms into something straight out of a winter postcard. The Antwerp Christmas market isn't just a few stalls thrown together. It takes over the heart of the city, with warm lights, wooden chalets, and that constant smell of waffles and mulled wine drifting through the air. Groenplaats feels especially cozy, almost like a tucked-away festive square, while the Grote Markt goes full storybook mode, with the cathedral towering over everything, lit up against the winter sky. And then, as you move toward the river, the whole atmosphere shifts again. The streets sparkle with decorations, there's often a skating rink nearby, and the station itself somehow looks even more dramatic, wrapped in holiday lights. It's one of those rare moments where a city that already feels historic suddenly feels magical too, like it decided to lean all the way into the season. Once you leave the square and drift toward the river, you'll come across Het Steen. It looks exactly like a fortress from a storybook because, well, it is. This is Antwerp's oldest building, dating back to the 13th century, and it stood guard over the river through every transformation the city has seen. It's rugged, made of heavy gray stone, and even has a statue of a giant named Lange Wapper out front, who supposedly used to terrorize the locals. Apparently, giant slaying is just a recurring theme in this city's history. From there, you spill out onto the Meir, the main shopping artery of Antwerp. But here's the trick. Stop looking at the store windows and start looking up. The buildings are spectacular 18th and 19th century palaces. You eventually hit the Stadsfestsaal, and you have to go inside even if you aren't buying anything. It's a former festival hall that was rebuilt into the most extra shopping center I've ever seen. Standing under that massive gold-leafed dome makes you feel like you should be wearing a tuxedo just to buy a pair of socks. As the shopping district starts to blend into the station area, you'll enter the Diamond District. This is one of the most low-key, high-wealth areas I've ever seen. It's roughly a square mile where 80% of the world's rough diamonds pass through. It doesn't look like a scene from a heist movie, it's actually quite businesslike and unassuming. But knowing there are billions of dollars hidden behind those plain office windows makes walking down the street feel like a very high-stakes game of what's in the bag.
Just before you hit the station, you have to stop at Chocolate Nation. It's the world's largest Belgian chocolate museum, and honestly, the smell alone is enough to make you want to move in. It's interactive, immersive, and lets you trace the journey of a cocoa bean from the equator straight to the port of Antwerp. It's the perfect reward after a long day of walking. And yes, there are plenty of opportunities to research the product yourself. Right next door is the Antwerp Zoo, which is one of the oldest in the world, founded back in 1843. The architecture here is just as interesting as the animals. Seeing exotic wildlife housed in buildings that look like Egyptian temples or Moorish palaces is a bit surreal. It's a weirdly charming blend of 19th century history and conservation that feels completely unique to this corner of the city. Finally, we end the journey at Antwerp Centraal. I know a train station doesn't usually rank as a grand finale, but this is the railway cathedral. When you walk into the main hall and look up at that massive stone dome and the grand staircase, you'll understand why it's consistently voted one of the most beautiful stations in the world. It's the perfect, slightly dramatic end to an Antwerp adventure. And if you've got extra time, Antwerp still has a lot more to explore. You can visit the Moss Museum, a striking riverside building showcasing the city's history, culture, and global connections, the Rubens House, the former home and studio of painter Peter Paul Rubens, offering a glimpse into his life and art, the Plantin Moretus Museum, a UNESCO-listed printing house and museum revealing the history of bookmaking and publishing, the St. Anna's Tunnel, a historic pedestrian tunnel under the Scheldt with original wooden escalators, the Scheldt River Promenade, perfect for relaxed walks with beautiful skyline views, and the Antwerp Chinatown area around Van Wissenbeckestraat, a lively street filled with Asian restaurants, shops, and authentic flavors that add a completely different cultural layer to the city. It's one of those places where even without a plan, you'll keep stumbling into something interesting. Thanks for walking through Antwerp with me, and I'll see you in the next city.